Tales Our Abuelitas Told, a Hispanic folktale collection by F. Isabel Campoy and Alma Flor Ada. Illustrated by Felipe de Valos, Vivi Escriva, Susan Guevero, and Lele Torres. Read by Vienna Vance. Martina Martinez and Perez the Mouse. It was a bright, sunny morning, and Martina Martinez decided it was just the perfect day for spring cleaning. She washed the curtains and dusted each shelf in her house, and as she was sweeping one corner in earnest, she came upon a great surprise, a shining silver coin. "How lucky I am," she cried out, "a silver coin to spend on anything I want. What shall I buy?" she asked herself. "What shall I buy?" First she thought, "I'll buy rock candy," but thinking it over she decided, "No, I'll eat it and have nothing left." Then she thought she'd buy some chocolates, but thinking it over she decided, "No, I'll eat them and have nothing left." So once her cleaning was done, she went to the store to see what might catch her eye, and she came home with a beautiful red ribbon. Martina Martinez took a warm bath, put on her prettiest dress, and tied the ribbon on her head. Feeling very good about herself, she took her favorite chair outdoors and sat in front of her house. A moment later, Señor Gato, the cat, came strolling by. "Buenas tardes, Martina," he greeted her. "How lovely you are." "It must be my new ribbon that has caught your eye," Martina replied bashfully. "Would you like to marry me?" Señor Gato asked boldly. She hesitated, then asked, "How would you sing our babies to sleep?" "Mew, mew, mew," said the cat proudly. "Oh no, you'd scare them," she said, and Señor Gato left, feeling very disappointed. A little while later, Señor Perro, the dog, came strolling by. "Buenas tardes, Martina," he greeted her. "How lovely you are." "It must be my new ribbon that has caught your eye," Martina replied bashfully. "Would you like to marry me?" Señor Perro asked. She asked in return. "How would you sing our babies to sleep?" "Arf, arf, arf," barked the dog loudly. "Oh no, you'd scare them," she said, and Señor Perro left feeling very unhappy. It was beginning to get dark when Señor Gallo, the rooster, came strolling by. "Buenas tardes, Martina," he greeted her. "How lovely you are." "It must be my new ribbon that has caught your eye," Martina replied bashfully. "Would you like to marry me?" Señor Gallo asked arrogantly. Then she asked back, "How would you sing our babies to sleep?" "Cock-a-doodle-doo," crowed the rooster loudly. "Oh no, you'd scare them," she said, and Señor Gallo left, feeling very upset. By now night had fallen. Martina was about to go into her house when Raton Perez, the mouse, happened to pass by. I'm not completely sure, but I think the reason Martina had lingered outside so long was that she had hoped he might walk by. Raton Perez walked by our house almost every evening, but he never said anything to Martina. Now he looked at Martina and he greeted her. "Buenas noches, Martina. How lovely you look tonight." "Buenas noches," she replied, and then she added with a smile, "It must be my new ribbon you are noticing. I've been meaning for a long time to ask you to go out with me. Would you?" he asked in his very soft voice. "I don't see why not," she answered. And so it was that Martina Martinez and Raton Perez began to spend time together, and after a while they were sure they liked each other very much and decided to get married. They moved to a nice little house behind an orange tree in a corner of Doña Pepa's garden. A fragrant jasmine vine twined around their door. They had not been married very long when they decided to have a party for all their friends. Raton Perez set out to clean the house and get everything ready, while Martina began cooking their favorite soup. But after she had put all the ingredients in the large pot, tender turnips, sweet carrots, and bright green peas, Martina realized she had no salt in the house. "I'll rush to the market and come right back," she told Raton Perez, and as she went out the door she called, "Watch the soup, but don't get too close to it. That's a very large pot." Raton Perez continued cleaning the house, but soon he noticed the delicious smell coming from the kitchen. It was so enticing that little by little he drew closer and closer to the big round pot. Finally, stepping on his tiptoes, he took a look inside. There, in the center of the pot, floated a large golden onion, so tempting that Raton Perez could not resist reaching out for it, and kerplunk! Before he realized what had happened, he had fallen into the pot. Soon Martina Martinez de Perez returned from the market. She worried when she noticed how silent the house was. "Ratoncito Perez, dear husband, where are you?" she called. After searching for him all over, she looked in the pot. "Ay!" she cried so loud that she frightened the bees hovering over the jasmine vine by the door. Feeling very sad, she sat on her doorstep, crying her heart out. Two little birds who were eating seeds nearby came up to her. "Martina Martinez, why are you crying so hard?" And she answered, "My dear Raton Perez fell into the soup pot trying to eat a golden onion." The birds replied, "To show our sorrow, we'll cut off our beaks." And so they did. When the mourning dove saw the birds with her cut-off beaks, she asked, "Little birds, what happened to your beaks?" And they replied, "Dear Raton Perez fell into the soup, reaching for a golden onion. Martina Martinez cries her heart out, and to show our sorrow, we cut off our beaks." The mourning dove replied, "Then I'll cut off my tail." And so she did. When the mourning dove went for a drink of water, the fountain asked, "Mourning dove, what happened to your tail?" And she replied, "Dear Raton Perez fell into the soup, reaching for a golden onion. Martina Martinez cries her heart out, and to show our sorrow the little birds cut off their beaks and I cut off my tail. The fountain said, then I will stop my water from flowing, and so she did. When Mariquita, Doña Pepa's niece, went to the fountain to fetch some water and found it dry, she asked, Fountain, where's your water? And the fountain replied, Dear Raton Perez fell into the soup, reaching for golden onion. Martina Martinez cries her heart out, and to show our sorrow the little birds cut off their beaks, the mourning dove her tail, and I stopped my water from flowing. Then Mariquita said, Then I'll break my water jug, and she dropped the clay jar, which broke into 2 pieces. When Doña Pepa saw Mariquita return from the fountain with a broken jar, she asked her, Mariquita, what happened to your water jug? And Mariquita replied, Dear Raton Perez fell into the soup reaching for golden onion. Martina Martinez cries her heart out, and to show our sorrow, the little birds cut off their beaks, the mourning dove her tail, the fountain stopped her water from flowing, and I broke the clay jar. Doña Pepa asked, And who is helping Raton Perez? Doña Pepa pulled up her skirts and ran out of her house. She sped under the mango trees and flew through the garden all the way to the little house behind the orange tree. Bending down to fit through the door, she rushed to the kitchen, where she grabbed Raton Perez's tail and pulled him out of the pot. She patted his back until he spit out all the soup he had swallowed. Then she tucked him quietly into bed and returned to the kitchen to make a cup of chamomile tea. And while Raton Perez slowly drank his tea, sighing deeply between one sip and the next, Doña Pepa helped Martina make some flour paste for the little bird's beaks, the mourning dove's tail, and Mariquita's water jar. Then they all went to ask the fountain to let her water run again, and announced to their friends that there would be a party that night. And Colorín Colorado, my many-colored feathered friend, now the story has found an end. Dear, dear, said the turtle. The fields had started to render some color after a typically long, dry season on this Caribbean island. Little blue flowers grew near the river. Red, pink, and purple wild berries popped out on the slopes of the mountain. The sun shone longer each day, and it seemed to draw closer and closer to earth as well. Everywhere, birds sang and danced, searching for ripe fruits and tasty seeds. Laughter and joy were everywhere, especially down by the river, where Hicotia, the turtle, lived. Everybody knew she had a great sense of humor. Hicotia lived in a beautiful cane house near the river. She liked to wake up early, make her bed, and clear the weeds in front of her house before playing the guitar and singing her favorite songs. On one of these early mornings, as she was cutting the weeds, she saw 2 big horns emerging from the bushes near the river. Who could that be so early in the day? Cautiously, her head half in and half out of her shell, Hicotia looked to see who was approaching her house. Good morning, Doña Hicotia. How are you today? Said a voice from high above. Who is trespassing on my land? Asked Hicotia. It's me. Suddenly 4 long, graceful legs surrounded her. Oh dear, a deer, she said. What are you doing here? I just came for a drink of water, said the deer. See the top of that mountain? I come from there. It took me only an hour to get here. But, of course, you are so small and so slow, it would probably take you a year to go the same distance. And saying that, the deer, Venado, started to laugh, and his laughter was so loud that all 1,000 birds living in the valley hid in the hearts of the trees. Well, why are you so sure? Hicotia asked. Hicotia said, It is often a mistake to judge by appearances. As a matter of fact, I bet I could win a race against you. Hearing Hicotia's words, the deer started to laugh again. His laughter was so loud that all 100 alligators, who were cleaning their teeth near the shore, hid in the bottom of the river. Are you serious? The deer asked. Yes, very serious. I only ask you to grant me 15 days to get ready for this race. Hicotia replied. That will be the day when a river turtle wins a running race against a deer. You can have a year to get prepared if you want. You'll need it, Venado said mockingly. And so it was that Venado the deer and Hicotia the turtle agreed to meet in the road at the edge of the village at daybreak on Easter Sunday. As soon as she saw the deer's antlers disappear again into the brush, Hicotia called her 2 best friends. Juana, Barbara, come quickly, I have something to tell you. Her 2 turtle friends came over to Hicotia's house. What happened? Said Juana. Why was that deer laughing so hard? Have you ever heard the saying, he who laughs last laughs best? Hicotia asked her friends. Well, we will laugh last. Juana and Barbara sat down, and Hicotia explained that she had challenged the deer to a race. The race was going to take place in 15 days, and the winner would be the first to circle back to the river after racing through the towns of Huaracabuya and Guaracuyu. But how are you going to beat an animal as fast as a deer? Barbara asked. I'm not going to beat the deer. We are, said Hicotia. What do you mean? How can we do that? Asked Juana. It's very simple, said Hicotia. Just listen to my plan. Hicotia drew close to her friends, hoping that nobody would hear what she had planned. When she finished whispering, the 3 friends had smiles on their faces, and they went off in 3 different directions. 10 days later, Barbara sat for a few minutes to rest. She found her travels hard at times. There were rocks, and sometimes the slope was very steep. Holding tightly to weeds and to roots of trees, she tried not to roll over on her back or slip down the mountainside. She thought of her friend Juana, and hoped that she'd arrive safely in Guaracabuya, the first town through which the race would pass. She herself had only 5 days left to reach Guaracayu, the town where the race would circle back to the finish line.